Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to continue my segments in analysing the Necron Codex. Today I'm going to have a look at the Cryptek, so a very support unit when it comes to the Necron choices for their HQ choices anyway. How this works is I'm going to have a look at the unit in the Codex as you see itself, you have a look at the stats, war gear available, and also special rules. After that I'm going to have a look at loadout suggestions, relics or artifacts of the Aeons, dynastic codes that may be helpful, warlord traits, and finally some stratagems. With that, let's have a look at the Cryptek. So Cryptek stats are movement 5, which is standard for a foot-slogging Necron, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, which is average. I'd actually personally believe a Cryptek should maybe be a little bit less accurate. So yeah, having a bit more closer to it is actually pretty good. Strength and toughness of 4, so same as Necron Warrior, a bit less than most of the other HQ choices. In fact, I think it's less than all the other Necron choices. So yeah, but as a purely supportive character, this kind of makes sense. 4 wounds, which makes it kind of tanky, not bad. 1 attack. Yep, 1 attack. You don't get much more support than that. I'm probably going to use that phrase quite a few times. Leadership 10, so Necron, and a 4+ save. Well, he's not rocking as good armour as other things, but certainly same as a Necron Warrior. In terms of equipment, you have a Staff of Light. That is it. You also get a choice of Chromatron and Cryptek Cloak, which I'll go into the rules in a wee minute, but obviously go into them in a bit more detail when I give suggested loadouts. So in terms of abilities, we have Living Metal, which will essentially recover you a wound at the beginning of your turn if you've lost any. Pretty good. Chromatron, Dynasty Infantry units within 3 inches of a friendly model with Chromatron for 5+ invul save against ranged weapons. Very helpful, exceedingly helpful. I can't stress that more than anything. I'll probably go into a bit more detail on why I think it's helpful in the math, etc. when I go into loadouts. Technomancer, add 1 to all reanimation protocol rolls for models from Dynasty units within 3 inches of a friendly Dynasty Cryptek. This is exceptionally helpful, so it turns all your 5+ Dynasty Code ones to 4+ when they're within 3 inches of a Cryptek. So useful, so useful. I can't stress it more than anything. This will simply just keep a lot more units alive. Nothing's better than when you make a very good reanimation protocol roll, and that going from 5s to 4 moves it from 33% chance to 50% chance. And if you're doing a big roll like for Necron Warriors, you know that can be a difference of about 3-4 Necron Warriors coming back. Heck, if it's on Destroyers, an extra 1 or 2 is hugely helpful. Lich Guards, I mean, if you've managed to get your race to, you know, use their stratagems so they can reanimate, when situations and the stars align and you get a really good roll, it can really break your opponent, that all that work they went to destroy, say, a destroyer unit, and then the Cryptek just goes, nope, back up you come boys, and have a few extra 4+ as well. Oh, it can break souls, so yeah, very, very helpful. Cryptek Cloak, a model equipped with Cryptek Cloak has a move characteristic of 10, so you're doubling it, which is helpful, and gains the fly keyword. In addition, at the start of your turn, you can select 1 friendly Dynasty model that has the Living Metal ability, and that is within 3 inches of this model. That model regains D3 lost wounds rather than 1 from its Living Metal ability. I'll go into that a bit more detail, pretty basically just in a minute, because I'm going to go into equipment next, but I'll probably look at the difference between Cryptek Cloak and the Chronometron and their uses. So first, when we go into loadouts, we'll go with you know, this one I call You're My Only Hope, which is the Staff of Light. That's all he's got, it's all you need. You only have 1 attack, so yep, Staff of Light will do just fine. Add shooting, assault 3, which is helpful, you are ballistic skill 3. So yeah, you are not for combat, you're purely support. Yep, Staff of Light, even if there was like, the War Scythe or anything like that, I'd say no to it. I'd go Staff of Light all the way. So yeah, handy Staff of Light is kind of what you want to choose. So the support equipment. So we come to the important support equipment, mainly the Chronometron and the Cryptek Cloak. Let's start off with the Cloak. So the advantage of the Cloak is increases the movement to 10, which is great. It does allow the Cryptek to be where they need to be. However, the living metal advantage I find not as beneficial as you'd think. It'll give you D3 recovered wounds and things like your Necron HQs and your vehicles. However, I find that recovering a small amount of wounds, you know, you can recover one as a default, or if you get a poor roll thanks to this, it may just all be the same, you still only recover one. Adding, you know, a possibility of recovering two is not the greatest, you know, in the essence that it may require your opponent to use a few more shots to bring down your vehicle or that lord, but possibly not too much, or it may move you onto deterioration table where you're not actually hitting that much. Either way, so the buffs of it may be, you know, a bit short-lived on that one. So this, you know, whether it's going to actually help or not is debatable. The other thing as well is that, you know, it's doesn't work well with the Technomancer, which is your reanimation protocols, the other ability, where that more benefits units. The Cryptek Cloak mainly sort of benefits, let's say, vehicles and single units like your other HQs. So you don't really benefit from both abilities, you can only really target one when it comes to the Cloak. The Chronometron, on the other hand, is a different story. It provides an immediate defensive buff that may be, you know, short range, because you need to be within 3 inches, but it still can be very, very useful. You can string out a unit to have like one model within 3 inches, but then everyone's getting benefit, which is very, very handy. So this can benefit infantry in a huge way, say Necron warriors out in the open, huge blobs, you can't quite fit them in cover. You know, at -2 AP they will already see the advantage, because -2 AP would bring them to a 6-up save. With this, it will give them actually it will give them a 5-up invul. Things like Plasma, which want to ensure that Necron warriors die, stay down, and don't get back up, because reanimation's a pain. Basically, this will give them an invul save and maybe save a third more than they were supposed to. So yeah, that's an immediate benefit there. The other thing I would say as well is that things like heavy hitters like destroyers, they are infantry as well. Now, if they're in cover, which many times you do maybe want to be, it's kind of difficult because they're only 24-inch guns, so sometimes you need to move out of cover. But if you are in cover, you are going to be rocking a 2-up save. So a 5-up invul is not the best. I think you only see an advantage of that if you're hit by something that's -4 AP. But if you're not in cover, then this can be hugely beneficial, because things like Plasma, which does love to target destroyers, though they are 3 wounds versus, you know, 2 damage, which is a bit of difficulty. But Plasma does like to just try and rip through them. I mean, heavy hitters do try and rip through destroyers because they can cause damage and they can reanimate. This 5-up invul just means you have that little bit more assurance that you are going to survive a little bit more if something with high AP does target you. Add in the fact that this works really well with the Technomancer ability, because this is more a benefit for units, although many things do get it, infantry do mainly get it. So it just does benefit more, it synergizes more with the Technomancer ability than I'd say the Cryptek Cloak does. 9 times out of 10, I am going with the Chronometron. In fact, I've never used the Cryptek Cloak once. I love the model, I think it's awesome, and the movement is really good, but I just can't justify it when I look at 5-up invul to my infantry units that I'm also planning to reanimate, possibly as well. So I just find the combination of Technomancer and Chronometron are really good. And of course, you've got to take the Staff of Light. Artifacts of the Aeons. Let's start with Staff of Darkness, because we've got it. Once per battle, at the end of the movement phase, the bearer can use the Veil of Darkness when they do. The bearer and up to 1 friendly Dynasty infantry unit within 3 inches of the bearer are removed from battlefield. Dynasty infantry unit. So again, infantry benefits. Then set up the bearer and the second unit you choose, if any, on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches from enemy models, and the second unit must be set up wholly within 6 inches of the bearer. So you know, are we surprised in mentioning the Veil of Darkness? I mean, I mentioned in every other video, it's really good for the Cryptek who's buffing a Necron warrior squad. You need to get out of dodge, you've been engaged in combat and you're like, oh crikey, this ain't good, I need to, you know, get out of here. Well, you can use the Veil of Darkness, and as far as I'm aware, when you actually use it to get out of combat, it's not a fallback maneuver. So you could, you know, fly up, fly behind the unit 9 inches away from them, rapid fire them as they've just tried to engage you. So it's a really good defensive one on that one as well, where sometimes I've mentioned it offensively, such as the Overlord video, or I've mentioned in combinations such as the Oberon video. With a Cryptek, it could be a way to, when he's buffing the Necron warriors by giving them a 5-up invul and a better reanimation, you can also give them a get out of dodge card as well. So kind of handy to have it there as well. The Voltiax staff, now again this is one that a viewer brought to my attention. I mentioned in more detail in the Catacomb Command Barge video because you see huge benefits from it there, just from its mobile options, but still can be handy on other units. So this in melee is your basic Staff of Light. This in melee is the same as your Staff of Light as standard, which is not a bad thing for Cryptek because in melee, well, Cryptek doesn't do well, but in shooting it is really kind of good. Adds a strength, an AP, a damage and mortal wounds, so all is good. Adds in the Mithrit range, so if you get within half range, which is 6 inches, you go to -4 AP. Quite dangerous for a Cryptek, but you never know. Add on if you take the Mithrit Merciless Tyrant ability, allows assault weapons an extra 6 inches, so you're going up to 18 inches for your firing, while it's 9 inches to get the -4 AP. But also allows you to target characters. This can be really good, really good in the sense that, it's not going to kill Guilliman, I think I mentioned last time, but it is going to really make you the support characters. That orc with the force field around him then suddenly gets shot by this, and if you're lucky, may kill him. Super, super handy. One thing I'd say about this is that you're giving up a Warlord Trait, you're giving up a Relic. Dangerous combination, and the Cryptek does love snipers targeting him because he has toughness 4 and 4-up save, so even those mortal wounds will hurt him. He won't save very much, and the toughness 4 will make him easily wounded. So, bit of a difficult one on that one. You really don't want those sniper. You want Lich Guard around him to sort of defend those shots off. But in essence, adding in a unit to have a Warlord Trait and a Relic and is not very durable is a bit of a tough one. I'd certainly like the Voltiax staff more on my Catacomb Command Barge than anything else. Dynasty Codes. So I feel Dynasty Codes, like I mentioned every time, benefits units, and I can't wait to get into units and talk about them and all the Dynasty Codes that they benefit from. HQs, not as much. For once, I'm going to not mention Novak because one attack, it's not going to be any use. Let's go straight into, I murder every time, Nifrik, yep. Translocation Beams. If a unit with this code advances, add 6 inches to its move characteristic for a movement phase instead of rolling a dice. If the unit is affected by Will Be Done or Wave Command, add 7 inches to its move characteristics instead. In addition, if a unit with this code advances, its models can move across models and terrain as if they were not there. Again, as mentioned, I'm not really a fan of this one, it's really hard to pull off, but the Cryptek isn't going to really want to be in combat and may want to get out of dodge quick. So having that sort of instant relocation, possibly moving 11 inches, which is really good to get into the location it needs to be. Shame that most of its benefits take up before the movement phase, but whatever. If you're, for instance, going Chronometron, it gets into a better range where it's going to be protecting better in the next round. But yeah, it just allows you to move around a bit more and get a bit more defensive in that one. Warlord Traits. I think there's better units than this take a Warlord Trait, but some may be quite beneficial. I mentioned a lot of these before, but the ones that do benefit I will say a bit more in detail. So Enduring Will, reduce any damage inflicted on your Warlord by 1 to minimum 1. For example, if your Warlord fails a saving throw against an attack that inflicts 3 damage, this will only cause 2 wounds. Very good at keeping a Warlord alive, though that is likely to be something a bit bigger than a Cryptek that can, these guys essentially can be easily taken apart by damage 1 stuff. As I mentioned, snipers love to take them out. So having Enduring Will is maybe not the best on this one. All it takes a unit of snipers just pop away shots and eventually bring them down. I think I had 3 units of snipers once shoot a Cryptek, and the first 2 whiffed the rolls. I was like, that's fine. The last unit of 5 killed it, dead. I forgot about Lich Guard, actually could have saved him, but that was my bad. But these guys just plugged all their shots into Cryptek and wrote him off turn 1. So, you're not likely to fight things like Thunderhammers. If you're fighting a unit with a Thunderhammer against Cryptek, it's dead, no matter how many wounds you reduce it by, it's probably crunched. Immortal Pride, friendly Dynasty units automatically pass morale tests while they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. In addition, your Warlords can attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each enemy phase in the same manner as a Psyker. Again, my go-to Warlord trait bar none, though I do make a few exceptions from time to time. You know, if you're going to take a 20-man warrior squad, you're going to protect them with Chronometrons so that they get 5-up invul. You're going to take Technomancers so they can get better reanimation protocols. You're going to take this so that they pass morale. All it takes is one to be alive and to be within Technomancer range so that they can reanimate all their boys. Say there was 19 killed. That's roughly going to work out to be 9.5 if you're going to be Necron warriors coming back, if you are, for instance, within range of a Cryptek. I think that's something about 14, give or take. My math could be off on that one, when it comes to having a resurrection orbit chucked on top of it. And that's a scary thing to have, but that's all made thankful because you're immune to morale. Because that Necron warrior would have sucked up 2 command points to stay about and then bring back his boys. Otherwise he would have gone with them and then you'd get none back. So this is really, really handy to have. Maybe if you're thinking about having the Veil of Darkness, so you reanimate all these guys and you're like, cool, we're still stuck in combat, Veil of Darkness away. Generally really good Warlord trait. I like it, it's benefited me hugely in games where they've brought down to only a handful of Necron warriors, then I reanimate a bunch of them. So it's situational, but I do find it very, very, very good. So yeah, highly recommend it. Hyperlogical Strategist, Sutek. Once per battle you can reroll a single hit, wound or damage roll for your Warlord. That's going to be debatable when it comes to Cryptek. In addition, if your army is Battleforged and your Warlord is on the battlefield, roll a d6 each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem. On 5+, that command point is immediately refunded. People really like this one, and again, I find it a bit more difficult. We've got Tactical Restraint now, so its benefits are a bit more difficult to pull off, and I tend to rock games only 4 to 5 command points because our HQs are kind of expensive, and our troops, if you want to get the main benefit from them, unless you're using like cheap Immortals, which you can do, you don't tend to get so many command points. So if I'm rocking 4 or 5, then I'm not going to be really bored by this because I'm only going to bring back 1 or 2. And I'd much rather take an ability that's far more beneficial, such as you know, the Enduring Will, which I talked about. No, not Enduring Will, Immortal Pride. I just find that tends to be a bit more better. Find me on that one. I have had people go, no, Hyperlogical Strategist is very helpful. But I just find that the Immortal Pride is just so useful. Stratagems. Stratagems are a tricky one. Again, they're very specific for Necrons. I find that you've got Cryptek ones, you've got Night Scythe ones, you've got a handful of ones that are good for HQs. But the main one is, of course, Resurrection Protocols. 1 command point, use the stratagem when a Necron character from your army, excluding Transcend Infinite, and Catan Shards are slain. At the end of that phase, roll a d6. On a 4+, set that character again as close as possible to previous position, and more than 1 inch from any models with 1 wound remaining. This stratagem can be used to resurrect the same model more than once per battle. Interesting stratagem, you know, you die on your opponent's turn, come back, recover a wound, you're back up to 2. Problem is, the Cryptek is not a tanky unit. It's only toughness 4 compared to ours at toughness 5 and only a 4-up save, and has no invul itself, though it does benefit from the Chronometron. So that's kind of helpful for ranged weapons. But, you know, whether it's worth saving it or not through, you know, a 4-up save is kind of tricky. I failed this Resurrection Protocol, you know, Resurrection Protocol sort of roll a bunch of time, you know, with characters, so it's kind of risky on that part. One thing I would note, as thanks to Necron Manus for pointing this out in page 14 of the Warhammer Rulebook Errata, if you do slay the Warlord and resurrect them, then you do not get the slay the Warlord's victory point. They've got to be slain at the end of the game. They've got to be dead at the end of the game. That's when you do achieve it. There was a time, I think, in a Warhammer Community Battle Report where they actually did score slay the Warlord, then it reanimated, and they went, you still scored it because it was slain at one point. They've decided to definitively say it's at the end of the game. If you died but came back, then you do not score it. So very handy to have that clarification as well. So that's it for the Cryptek. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely, depending on the units you are taking with it. Taking more elite units, things that are a bit more like to go their own way, wraiths, which are going to get next to no benefit from this at all, or scabs, not going to help. Lich Guards maybe, but if they've got their dispersion shields then they're not going to see much benefit, though you could get benefit from the reanimation. Certainly warriors and immortals I feel are going to get the most benefit from this. Your ranged back infantry, even your destroyers are going to see a benefit from the Cryptek. But your forward force maybe not so much, but certainly backline, it is really good, and I've personally had them help me a whole bunch of time in battle reports. So again, thanks again for watching. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. Super interested to see what people think of Crypteks. I really rate them. David not so much, but I still think they are absolutely useful. So interested to hear what people think, so they can say, you know, who they think is right in this one. Oh, I'm scared to hear the comments back now after I've said that. Check us out on social media. We can see our upcoming projects as well as Patreon to help support the channel, bring you more content, because we absolutely love doing so. So thanks again, and we'll see you on our Tabletop Assault Battle Report.